Welcome to the Dairy Analyzer program. This program allows one to evaluate the production and reproduction parameters of an individual herd against a peer group. Once you've entered into the URL system and logged onto the system, and there is a video that is instructive on how to do that, one will arrive at this screen where you press the Start button. And what will happen then is a screen will be loaded that has a distribution graph on the right, and on the left is a menu system where one can select the various production and reproduction parameters. This distribution graph is a graph of a peer group. So in this particular case, I've selected rolling milk as my parameter of interest. For the selected herd that I'm looking at, that level is 23,000 pounds, 563. When we compare that to the peer group, and the peer group that has been selected is all the PC dart herds that are between 50 and 150 cows, and there were 7,000 of them, that with a mean of 20,000 pounds and a standard deviation just a little bit under 4,000 pounds. When we compare the herd value against that peer group, we find that it's in the 21 percentile. In other words, 21% of the herds are above it, 79% of the herds are below it. And so with this system, one can select different parameters. So we have a series of parameters under production, and one can use this little scroll down menu on the right here to go to different levels. So if we wanted to look at the peak milk of first lactation animals, this herd was at 77 pounds, 35% of the peer group herds are above it. We can also look at other health metrics, so somatic cell count score, somatic cell count for first lactation. Again, one can scroll down and select the parameter of interest, and each time you select it, it will contrast that to the peer group values and also present what the herd value is here. You can also change the herd value here to see what would happen to the where it would land on the distribution by either sliding the slider up and down here or using the increment buttons here, and you can see how that would change the level of the herd's percentile ranking. There's a section on genetics, and so we can see all the parameters there, net merit dollars for cows. We can also look at reproduction parameters. So what's the pregnancy rate, the calving interval, all of the parameters that are associated with reproduction. The other component that is useful is that for many of the parameters, we have economic dashboards. So we have one for the pregnancy rate. So what this does is it presents, again, the herd value, but then also allows the user to select a goal value. So in this case, the herd pregnancy rate average was 20%. If my goal was to go to 26% of eligible cows getting pregnant every 21 days, the value of changing from 20 to 26 would be about $115 per cow per year. That's based on a milk price of $16.60. Of course, if that value changes, the value estimate of the savings per year would go up. And furthermore, also if the ration a marginal cost of feed per pound of milk was to change. So all of these drivers here that are important in influencing that parameter are there. There are also a menu of other links to other web pages that one can go to on each of these. So we have a model for pregnancy or reproduction. We have one for somatic cell count. We have one looking at milk level. What's the value of a change in milk, age at first calving. There's also a model looking at the culling rate change. What's the value of a change there? And then there's a link to some screens of general economics or general links here, and these are links to other web pages. So if I wanted to look at, let's say, the marginal value of making milk, I click on this link and it will open up that analytic and allow me to interact with it in a similar manner that we saw before. One would enter in the parameters here, so what's the milk price, the dry cow ration cost, the milk level, and depending on what the ration cost is, then it calculates what that marginal cost per 100 pounds is for that particular herd. So one can go back to the record system by selecting the window, and we can go back up to the different parameters. Also, one can change the peer group by simply selecting the peer group window and change what group you want to contrast the herd's data with. And so if I wanted to look at the herds between 251 cows to 300, or even the very large herds, we could contrast this herd's particular data against that set as well. So that's the intro to the Dairy Analyzer program.